Drone Supply Chain Resilience Dialogue, Taiwan-U.S.-Ukraine Cooperation on Drone Supply Chains. This session focuses on Taiwan's efforts to build a non-threat drone supply chain through international collaboration, featuring first-hand perspectives from Taiwan's drone industry and the battlefields of Ukraine. Please join me in welcoming our moderators and speakers who are already on the stage waiting all of you to join us. Please join me with a warm welcome. Kathy, the floor is yours.
Welcome, everyone. I think this is the last but not least panel for us. And I always joke that D for 2 years is democracy, but right now it's for drones. And I think a lot of drones discussion right now is too much political debates. But today we are focused on international cooperations. And our president do tell me that what key message you want to send to every audience today. I want to send this: drone is not for defense, but only for deterrence. And what deterrence is for international cooperation to enable that deterrence. And that's why we aroused our US friends and our Ukraine friends today to discuss about how international cooperation look like and how we can threaten Taiwan's asymmetric warfare. So, and I hope Dset, National Security Team, can become the enabler about the international cooperation. So I thank all my team, Samara, Ting Wei, and also Hong Yuan, and also Jin, for enable this, my research. So I'm going to set the stage for our team's research. So this is the Dset's two latest report. One is Taiwan and Ukraine, one is Taiwan and Europe for international cooperation. So these two reports details all about how cooperation look like, what the current status is, what the challenges, and give the recommendations. So everyone, please use the QR code and download the report right now. This is homework. Okay, and this is Dset in the news. So we have a lot of media exposure these days, and also interviews. So everyone, you can just interested and go to all this media. So first, I want to give everyone what 1 year on for Taiwan's drones industry. So what is the progress and what the challenges is. So this is basic for outline. So first, our objectives is 3: promoting industrial development, strengthening defense self-reliance, and deepening supply chain into the democratic supply chain. This is Lai administration keep focusing on the 3 objectives, and it remains the same. And what's new is about this MOEA, Ministry of Economic Affairs, handle this new project. So across 6 years, and committed to invest 44.2 billion for 6 years, and focus on 4 dimensions: market, technology, environment, and legislation. And they target 40 billion industry production value by 2030. So this is the progress, 4-dimensional progress I've concluded for this 1 year. One is the procurement. So ministries of national defense have increased their procurement from 3,000 to 200,000, so 60 times bigger. And also our Crown Minister have going to permit for procurement for 50,000. So estimate at 10 billion. So a lot of procurement, a lot of demand signal. But I would say what is challenge also. And also the international markets, we explore for 3,400 to 122,000 drones. And also the 1Q1 for this year have overpassed the whole year last year. And also we have certification alignment. Our AUVSI is here for Green UAS, Blue UAS, CMMC, and also international cooperation with our US friends. So everyone asks about what is the procurement channel. So we have 3 basic channels. One is the ANSYS. So they made domestic military grade drones for 700 based on our national defense report, and also procure from the US side for 3,000. And also we have this commercial grade procurement for 10,000 across 3 years, and for 200,000 for 6 years. However, we have this big news. Our latest special defense budget cut the 200,000 drones. Also, I mentioned for the government side, 50,000 have been included in the annual budget, but both of them hasn't been passed, and their paths are still uncertain. And so this is the export growth. As I mentioned, we have increased a lot in this year Q1. And the destination is Czech Republic, Poland, and US. For this, the average price is 800 to 1,000, and also all are group 1, group 2, which means that there are 2 to 25 kilograms. So there are still our gaps between our production. So based on the export data, we export 3,000 last year, which means that we have that production capacity. But whether it is MIT, whether it's non-red, we're still uncertain based on the export data. But we have two targets. One is the non-red supply chain by 2027, and one is the monthly UAV production capacity for 100,000 by 2030. And this is our structural limitations. One, production scale compared to Ukraine, we're still on 1,000 or 100, but now Ukraine is on millions. And also we have supply chain bottleneck. One is for the military grade thermal sensor from ITAR, and also Chinese military reliance. And so we have the technology gap, especially for 3 chips, 2 software, and also AI-enabled software, command and control, and autonomy missions. But before this year, I think a lot has changed about the IC design companies. More and more companies invest in this industry because of the promising market they see. And our certification alignment with US is the most progress for the US inter corporations. And also we have B2B cooperation. Thunder Tiger is here. We have 11 cases based on the public information across licensed productions and co-development. And also the ANSYS 8 MOUs across USV and UAV. And we have a lot of, from Congress, we have a lot of commitment to have co-production, joint production, and also Blue Skies for Taiwan Act. So that's my recommendation. Based there are 2. One is more Taiwanese company inside the Blue UAS list, and also for interoperability roadmap. And we hope that Indo-PACOM and Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense can have that interoperability discussion and institutionalize. And here is another cooperation, it's Taiwan and Europe. So right now you can see this is the map made by my colleague Ting Wei. So we have a lot of cooperation at different level. And also this is, Samara made it, a lot of Ukrainians have made deal with other countries, but none with Taiwan. So right now the Ukraine-Taiwan cooperation is based on supply chain cooperation, and there's batteries, flight control, and also motors. So this is the recommendations made by my colleague Samara. So first, we are going to maintain that supply chain cooperation, but strengthen it. Second, we have to have that a soft talents exchange about doctrine, operation, and also how to develop the training system. But most important, because as I mentioned that Taiwan just can make some Group 1 and Group 2 drones, but we lack of the long range and also interceptors. So we need a co-production with Ukraine to have that capability. And also for Europe, we need to have Europe to name Taiwan as the important partners. Also, we need to have the co-development and co-production plan as Europe country with Ukraine. So I hope this framework, and I set the stage for all our guests to have this framework for everyone to think about what international cooperation will look like in the future. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for the forum to invite Thunder Tiger to attend this forum. So today, I'm going to, I'm General Manager of Thunder Tiger. So as a local Taiwan drone manufacturer, we would like to provide our angle of the vision that what we are doing currently regarding to the topic of drone supply chain resilience in Taiwan. So as you can see this slide, that we've been, Thunder Tiger been investing in the past 10 years, been investing in the manufacturing of different kinds of UAVs. And currently, we are putting a lot of investment in the sea drones and also the we call it Delta Wings. In U.S. term is Lucas, and in Iranian term is called Shahed. So we've been investing a lot on this manufacturing technology. So I will share with you later on. So as you can see that the challenge and also from the commander in U.S. mentioning about they want to make the Taiwanese Straits as a hellscape. So this is something that we should get prepared to defend ourselves. So we talk about the Shahed, we talk about the Sea Drone, and we talk about the interceptor in the next several slides. So Thunder Tiger is a publicly traded company. We were founded about 46 years ago, and currently our market cap is around $1 billion, and we have 350 employees, and 50 employees is based in California, and also currently we just stopped our JV with aerospace company in Ohio. So as you can see, in terms of the supply chain that we've been investing for the past 10 years, that we are very much there, including the powertrain, the modules, and everything. So this is something we are working very hard with our suppliers in Taiwan. And just to let you know that currently that we are very honored in the October last year, we got listed in the Blue UAS list from the DoD. Currently is a DCMA, that we are Blue UAS, our Overkill drone in the list. And so, and we are lucky, and we are working hard to also get into the Gauntlet 1, which is the DDP phase 1, and we've been winning the orders. We've been on the top 10, top 11. And so we are currently entering the phase 2. So the phase 2 is $300 million with 60,000 drones to purchase. So hopefully we'll get more news for you guys. And then this is our motor automation line in Ohio. As you can see, more and more trend to have a drone to made in US, and now 90% of the motors are made in China. So we want to get these demands, the needs, and to fit these needs. And so currently we are working very hard that we have a technology to do the aluminum stamping, just like a Tesla does for their car. So we have 2,000 tons, 4,000 tons of a stamper. So we are actually trying to do the mass produce and fast production aluminum stamp Shahed. So this is how it looks like. We are in the process of making the molds. As you can see, this is how it works. Usually the technology in Taiwan, my understanding is that if you use the composite material, you need to put each layer, and each month you can only produce 3 Shaheds. But with the stamp technology currently we are doing, we can produce and stamp day and night, and each month we can produce hundreds and thousands. And this is the stamper currently we are doing for the aluminum boats. And so this is the aluminum boat that we are stamping as well. So this is, and after you do the mold and you stamp, and then you use the automation, AI, welding system, and then you got the body of the platform of the Shahed or the Sea Drone. And then you equip with your engines, you equip with your AIs, and then it comes out with, the Sea Drones or the boats. And so that is something that currently Thunder Tiger being working very hard. And then we believe not only the Taiwanese companies, our ecosystem, we've been working very hard to do the hardwares. And additionally, there are many international companies like US, Israel, and also Ukraine. We've been working with them to set up the control system, AI, jamming, anti-jamming, and obstacle avoidance. So hopefully, and then we are investing about $30 million in Jiayi area to do the final assemble, and to put them into the containers and ship it to any harbor, to any airports, and then if it's needed, it can be utilized to do the defending purpose for Taiwan. So that's pretty much what we are doing now. Thank you.
Right. Hey, everyone. I'm Alex Chang. I'm Anduril's country lead here in Taiwan. Prior to this role, I was general manager for one of our small drone product lines, where I oversaw business development, engineering, production, and supply chain. So it's been an interesting journey to take that experience here to Taiwan, where there's this explosion of interest in unmanned, uncrewed systems. I got a short video here. We'll see if it works. Just to walk through some of our products, and then I'll just give a brief introduction to Anduril and what we're up to in Taiwan. So let's see if we can get this to work. There you go. So we're a defense technology company. We build autonomous systems in every domain, from outer space to undersea to the electromagnetic spectrum. And we team all of these systems together with a software platform that we call Lattice. It's an open command and control system that takes in data, sensor data, from other people's sensors as well as Anduril sensors. We fuse and interpret it, help operators make decisions with that data, and then help them communicate that decision back out to various weapon systems and fire control systems. The objective here is really to help US and allied warfighters accelerate, speed up, and close kill chains faster than their adversaries. So our objective here in Taiwan is to help the Taiwanese military, teaming our systems with their existing systems and other systems that they'll be buying to do the same, to essentially make the Taiwanese military and the government here so advanced and so costly to invade in terms of both production capacity as well as capability that the PRC would never attempt it. We've got a ton of work going on here in Taiwan that I'll walk through in a bit. Here's an example of some of our products. Dive XL there on the left. It's a school bus-sized autonomous submarine that we're building in collaboration with the Royal Australian Navy as well as the US Navy. Deploy effectors, sensors for long-duration undersea missions. The middle shot is the YFQ-44A, the Fury. It's a collaborative combat aircraft that we're building in concert with the US Air Force. Essentially, a CCA is an autonomous fighter jet that you team with advanced 5th and 6th generation fighters to expand the reach, the range, the weapon stores, and keep pilots out of harm's way. Eagle Eye there on the right is a family of warfighter augmentation systems that essentially help an individual operator understand and sense the environment around them, make good tactical decisions, and then communicate and control UAVs and weapon systems to force multiply their capabilities. So we've got many, many more products, but that's just a quick snapshot of some of the cool stuff that we're working on. Here in Taiwan, I won't read these numbers to you, but we've got a ton of work going on with the Taiwanese military, as well as commercial partners. I think everyone's familiar with our foreign military sale with Altius, but in addition to that, we've got a ton of commercial work going on with NSYST. Some of those projects span lattice command and control integration with local UAVs to Dive LD, which is a 6-meter autonomous submersible that we have here in Taiwan now for commercial missions like search and rescue and subsea cable inspection. We've got a ton of direct sourcing from local Taiwan suppliers that we've really accelerated in the last 2 years. 15 new suppliers just in the last year alone. 15x our direct sourcing just in terms of volume of spending. So we're buying things like motors, printed circuit boards, precision machine parts, injection molded parts. It's been a really positive experience just taking the responsiveness, as well as like the skills of local Taiwanese industry, a lot of them from consumer electronic spaces that are now getting into drones. So they have that experience with high mix, low volume prototyping that's been really positive for our supply chain team. That's really it. Happy to answer any questions later on about our portfolio and our work here. Appreciate it.
1, 2. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and colleagues, thank you very much for invitation. And here I am representing Ukrainian Freedom Fund, American NGOs, which are located in Kyiv, and may our function to help Ukrainian military to be more resilient, more resistant to the current war of aggression, Russian Federation against Ukraine. In my presentation, I will try to respond for the 3 questions. It is who, what, and why. Here it is an outline, a more academic one, and the 3rd position I would like to mention is that all underlined words, it is a core of this presentation or these slides, what you have to take out with you to the end of this presentation. 3rd position is moderate a little bit, focus on processes. Here it is the slides with demonstrating why Ukrainian was looking for a symmetric approach, a symmetric response to the Russian aggression in order to gain qualitative advantage over the quantitative superior our opponents. It is visible and clear to any Taiwanese people, as I believe it as well. Here I would like to mention that nature of current war of aggression against Ukraine did not very much change since the war of aggressions and different type of the conflict or warfare from 20th century. It's having human, it having political, and having violence, and having uncertainty. But at the same time, the character of this war are driven by primarily a 6 element, what you can see on the left side of this slide. It is very much attritional, already 5th year is going on. It is a hybrid in any domain. It started as a hybrid and continue on daily basis. It is industrial because engage a all potential of Ukraine as well as number of partners. It is societal because without a whole society approach, Ukraine could not exist as today. It is also international because without international support, and I would like to use this platform to thank you, all nations, including Taiwan, who are helping Ukraine in different possibility, moral, physically, mentally, and as well as in the cooperation. And it is ideological war because our enemy didn't see Ukrainians as a nation. Here it is my personal assessment what the small nation, I would rephrase the strategic lines of efforts, I would say it is a willing response of small country which are under aggression of much larger neighbor. It could be applicable to you as well. And primarily, I would focus on 4 areas. It is innovation. On the line, very short list of our new ecosystem, and one of them I would like to underline, it is a battle management system Delta, which was introduced on the middle of this war of aggression, when our commanding officer from battalion level up to the corps has possibility to see not only the common operational picture, but also results of application different assets, including UAV, in order to gain so-called points, which allow to give them more effective, sufficient units to have more deliverables in terms of some instruments and tools. This technology given are tools, but without changing doctrines, without the implementing new roles of leaders, even I would say a new model, and we are on transition, because from the strong command by order execution, where the uncertainty are very much limited, we are right now approaching to the new model, so-called mission command, which is very famous in numbers of NATO countries, with given the accepting different uncertainty, as well as giving more trust to a junior officer to deliver the authority to execute this mission. But more important also it is a training. I mentioned it here, tactics. We are changing tactics on regular basis, I would say constantly, based on result-oriented during the execution mission, operation, or task. And training is very important, and we are getting training right now from the numbers of EU nations. Also, NATO has, after the Washington summit, created the NATO's Support, Assistance, and Training Command with main area to coordinate assistance and second, coordinate different activities. And our Freedom Fund paying a lot of attention for training different type of HQ, from battalion level to corps. Right now we are focusing on corps with mainly idea to improve better planning, and better planning will give better harvest to the end against our enemy. Here it is innovation ecosystem and adaptability pattern. I would like to draw your attention to the primary center. It is two main bodies within Ministry of Defense. It's who are trying to coordinate all efforts regarding the new innovation within Ministry of Defense and General Staff. On the left side, we'll see all main players. We do have participation from the, our state, NGO, the volunteers, as well as partner nation. Here it is an innovation process. End user is the main, is a driver force for this innovation. They are feedback providing, they are also utilizing all innovation what's been presented. Challenge and problem identification, selection, as well as resolution, giving us, we try and analyze enemy, we try and analyze our course of action, we also try and analyze the current implication of all innovation, 7 key directions, which are formulating list of Ukrainian Armed Forces innovation challenges and demands in order to gain better results in the front line. Here it is another drone-centric warfare. We do have so-called initiative army drones or line of the drones, and right now application is huge. It is a game changer. They do have different dimensions, and we are utilizing this. But drone, it is not important. More important to have a right software, right artificial intelligence, as well as integration with the software and command system and censoring system. Upgraded drone infantry units, it means initially drone are doing their hard, bloody work. After that, infantry is entering on the ground in order to clean, in order to get and satisfy the final operational outcomes. An unmanned ground system is very much important, because right now all logistics in the kill zone, close to 25 kilometers, are done by majority, 90% I would say, by the robotic system as well as medical evacuation. But recently we even applied for the kinetic operation. It was a couple Russians captured and taken as a prisoner of war by involvement of aerial UAV and ground UAV. Electronic warfare, constant changing, jamming, redesigning, deploying, jamming, redesigning, deploying. It is a constant cycle which we are using. Artificial intelligence. Ukrainian introduced concept for using artificial intelligence within Ukrainian armed forces, create specific units for the testing it and gaining right now result. Main idea, integrate artificial intelligence in the combat operation. Here is another key innovation. I will speed up, and I would like to pay the private defense system. Right now, the owners of the enterprise, big one, could take all personnel. Military is gonna train. Military is gonna provide them some interceptors like UAV, and already we do have 2 such model and 27 on the line in order to save and defend our critical infrastructure. Interceptor right now playing very much role in the fighting against Shahed, applying the cost-effective model of it. Out of 8,400 UAVs from previous months, 350 was shut down by these interceptors. New model of guided bombs and other related to improve our combat capabilities. Here it is like recommendation to the democracy like Taiwan is. I would like to pay attention that when we attended visited National Security Council and Madam Vice President, I am honestly telling you, I do understand that this agenda, it is already your agenda. You are using motto to be outnumbered but undefeated. It is the same motto what we are using. It's like some recommendation, I would say a practical one. Industrial capabilities development, I would like to draw your attention. Here what I see between Ukraine and Taiwan. We can have cooperative interest. When Ukraine could offer it, technology could offer it, training could offer it, training technology and lessons learned. Your country could offer it investment, you could offer it some weapons, combat ready to fight. And due to the fact we do have political obstacle, like a state issue, we can engage numbers of NGOs, and our NGOs would be pleased to play such role. And last but not least, 3 key lessons. I would say the quantity of ammunition is matter, and you have to focus on it, you have to have a stocking on it. And as much as you have, you would be able to prolong your defense. Second, innovation and speed adaptation. Innovation is tools, and who quicker is learn, is faster adapting, has advantage on the battlefield. Speed adaptation, it is not luxury anymore, it is a critical necessity on the battlefield. Last, technological and societal resilience. Defense industrial bases, your nation, like my nation, is playing a crucial role. We have to focus on it and sustain it. Due to their ability to sustain our industrial base, we've been able to ramp up the development and gain results what we have right now. Right now, any war in 21st century is not won by military, by doctrine, by munitions. It's won by its entire society to be united, to be organized, and to be prepared for repel any aggression. Thank you very much for your attention, and sorry I missed probably 2 minutes longer.
Hi, everyone. I'm Molly Campbell. I'm a researcher from the Center for New American Security, a think tank in Washington, D.C., focusing on defense and drones. I'm really honored to be here, also on behalf of my co-author and director, Dr. Stacy Pettyjohn. And I'm here to talk about our report, Hellscape for Taiwan, which offers kind of a rethinking of the traditional asymmetric defense strategy that is drone-centric. And it's inspired by Ukraine and also informed by the political realities within the United States, and presents an alternative model to counter Chinese aggression. So our idea was based in the concept of self-defense that is not dependent on exquisite systems from the United States. Instead, Hellscape presents an asymmetric strategy that leverages the unique value of uncrewed platforms and is really based on the idea that uncrewed platforms can be the ultimate asymmetric weapon. And that's due to their comparative low cost. I say that comparatively to other exquisite weapon systems. They're modular, and they're accessible. And this strategy is really meant as a point of just departure, to start a conversation within Taiwanese industry and within the Taiwanese military at an unclassified level to help the population, the population understand the utility of drones in the defense of Taiwan. And again, it's simply a humble starting point. That we're not. We've gotten a lot of questions of like, well, what about this? What about this? It's meant to present more questions than answers. And I'll briefly go through some of the strategy that we outlined, and I encourage everyone to read the whole report for more detail, because I will be kind of glossing over some of the more specifics today. And so in this graphic, you'll see that the Hellscape concept of operations leverages dense, multi-domain, overlapping fires at all levels, really emphasizing massing uncrewed systems, while also including some legacy shorter range systems such as Hellfires, rockets, and other types of munitions like that. And all of this is in coordination to disrupt the PLA amphibious invasion, which is a carefully orchestrated attack, and is very difficult, right? And I'll get into that in the next slide. And each layer of the Hellscape, which starts about 80 kilometers from the coast of Taiwan, increases and is cumulative, right? So the damage done in the first layer is then amplified by each layer in each attack. So also apologies for the small images, but hopefully folks can get the picture. So I'll quickly summarize the 4 layers of Hellscape. But first with the outer layer, this is roughly 115 kilometers from the coast of China, 80 from the coast of Taiwan. And this is where longer range drones, uncrewed surface vessels, uncrewed surface vessels and underwater drones can disrupt, damage, and destroy PLA ships, and deplete their air defense interceptors, therefore making the ships more vulnerable as they move forward in the strait. And central to this approach is the idea of discarding high-value targeting. Instead, you're relying on organic sensors for simple autonomy to simply just target any ship that's out there. Yes, that will result in some overkill, but it leverages a flood the zone approach as opposed to emphasis, and which will lead to cost on the production side for greater precision and autonomy. The next layer is the muddy middle, which is 40 kilometers to 5 kilometers, and this is where the fleet starts to thin down as the amphibious landing craft depart the air defenses, depart the protection of the air defenses of the fleet, and this is where we propose Taiwan can leverage uncrewed mines, uncrewed underwater vehicles to reseed minefields to further channelize the fleet and deplete the small numbers of landing craft that the PLA has. And also by doing this and causing disruption and using mines to sow chaos, one-way attack drones can hit these moderately poorly defended amphibs. And for the last 5 kilometers, you're entering visual range from the beaches of Taiwan, so that these systems no longer need to have high levels of GPS or satellite guidance, and that you can use line of sight. This is where small one-way attack drones, FPV bombers, and short-range missiles, while reserving some of your higher-end capabilities for priority targeting. So waiting for that priority targeting as they approach the coast. And lastly, on the beachhead, this is preventing any breakout, and you will leveraging the geography of Taiwan's beaches to further channelize through mines, uncrewed ground vehicles, and then more traditional artillery. So very quick power through. And why is any of this relevant to a conversation on supply chain resilience and production capacity and technology? the reality is the actualization of the strategy requires a huge amount of drones to be procured by the Taiwanese government. And I also want to acknowledge that it's very easy for an American analyst to come to Taiwan and say, you guys aren't doing enough money isn't being spent, your government is not making the right decisions. And I want to, inspired by the work that Dset has done on this, that significant progress has been made in the Taiwanese, indigenous capacity to produce drones, and it is important to acknowledge and celebrate that in terms of the successful cooperation that we have seen. But in that spirit, we want to present an idea of what victory using uncrewed systems would look like for Taiwan, right? And help Taiwan make the argument that these systems can be used really effectively in the self-defense of this country. And ultimately, one of our findings, and I'll move to the next slide, which a lot of information, if this is in the appendix of the report, again, encouraging everyone to please to read it online at the cnas.org. This presents idealized capabilities and their idealized roles and missions, right? And this is, again, meant to be a starting point to help Taiwan understand how drones can fit into existing operational concepts or help the creation of new operational concepts, right? And also, it can be as a starting point for the more recent work done on Ukraine and European cooperation, help identify points of overlap between existing capabilities that are not based in the US, right? And get away from the assumption that US military hardware is needed to fill any critical gaps. Thank you.
Hello, happy to be here, and thanks to Dset for organizing this amazing event. I think it's a very important time to do so. So I'm an analyst at the Snake Island Institute. It's a Ukrainian defense think tank, and I'll try to build upon my colleague Andrii and his sharing on the lessons from Ukraine. I'll also take it one step further toward what I see as a concrete Taiwan-Ukraine cooperation opportunity. So the Ukrainian defense technology market has developed extraordinarily fast. The 2025 output was $12 billion, and that was, by the way, way below the market potential capacity. The market also attracted more than 120 million of venture capital. The scale was extraordinary. So in 2025, Ukraine developed more than 4 million drones, 4 million UAVs, and we are on its way to produce around 7 million in 2026. So Ukraine also contracted 25,000 of unmanned ground vehicles in the first half of 2026. Ukraine also produces around 1,500 interceptor drones a day. Those proved to be extremely effective, as Andrii already mentioned, against Russian Shahed-type drones, and they also attracted large international attention, particularly from the Middle Eastern countries facing the threat from Iran. And Ukraine finally also produces more than 250 long-range drones a day and uses them to target Russia's energy infrastructure deep inside the country, inside Russia. So without a doubt, the biggest thing that made the market move and scale was the Russian invasion. It kind of was an incentive that mobilized the society, the military, the entrepreneurs, engineers. However, the governmental initiative also played a big role here, and this is something I think can be studied for Taiwan and some other countries interested in the lesson. So I'll quickly go over those. So first, Ukraine established Brave One initiative. So this is like an innovation fund. It gives grant funding to the companies. It also provides the bridge in between the military and the industry. Very important because you want to make the drones that are actually effective on the battlefield. It also provides testing and evaluation opportunities. And finally, there's Brave1 Marketplace. So it's like a place where companies can list their drones, their software, their components, their characteristics of those, and the military can view and purchase them. So Ukraine can also had a procurement reform. Before the invasion, all the military procurement were centralized, but then the resolution 1275 changed the story. So it provided the military units with the separate budgets that they could use to purchase the specific drones that they found being effective and useful in their specific area. Chain defense and parallel system, very similar. The technical difference between two is that whereas the resolution 1275 is the complete decentralization in both planning and procurement, the chain defense allowed the military units to plan and order the systems decentralized, but then the procurement itself was made by the Procurement Defense Agency with a central budget. E-points, something that, again, Andrii already mentioned, a unique system, I believe. So a military unit gets E-points for successful combat missions. So every time they use a UAV to destroy equipment or personnel, they get points for that. And then they can use those points on the Brave1 Marketplace to purchase the equipment. And finally, 80-20 model, a recent model introduced, it preserves 80% of the procurement to the technologies that have been proved effective on the front line, and then the rest 20 for either new emerging technologies or new companies that haven't been yet tried by the Ministry of Defense. And then some other initiatives included the Defense City, for example. That's a special tax regime for the defense companies, as well as the state subsidized lending. So except for the scaling and innovation, a big priority for Ukraine has been localization. And Ukraine localization is very vertical in nature. So we started with just importing the drones. Then we started produce the drones, assemble the drones in Ukraine based on the imported components. And then we moved to the component manufacturer in Ukraine. We now have around 100 component manufacturers in Ukraine. Majority of the Ukrainian drone manufacturers use at least 30%, so they have at least 30% localization levels, at least 30% of the drone value come from Ukrainian components. And naturally, this varies a lot by the type of components. So airframes, communication systems are very much localized in Ukraine. Some of the other ones, like avionics, cameras, much less. Electric motors, interesting case. So we did this, we published this paper in December. By that, our estimate for the electric motors localized in Ukraine was 12%. Right now, I had to update this number because right now, apparently, it's around 27%, so it's moving very fast. But there are obviously some systems, some components that cannot be localized. In Ukraine, we won't be able to have capabilities to produce those in any near-term future, so that like lithium-ion cells or chips, etc. And mostly what's not localized in Ukraine right now come from China. So 95% of the Ukrainian manufacturers use Chinese components. But there's the thing, so 77% of the manufacturers that we surveyed said that they want to phase out of the Chinese components, and they are looking for an alternative. And this is the first big opportunity for Taiwan-Ukraine cooperation here in the component sphere. Some of the companies already source the components from Taiwan, so this can be just improved and institutionalized for better cooperation, and then it can go well beyond the component level to all those fancy drone systems, interceptors, UGVs, USVs that are very relevant for the Taiwan case. So here's the value proposition for both sides. So what Taiwan can give to Ukraine, first micro component level, as I just mentioned, large-scale production capacity and investment capital, something that many Ukrainian companies are looking for, as well as the safe manufacturing lines, so pretty obvious. Ukraine to Taiwan, first, Ukraine can give battlefield-proven technologies, so all those drones that actually prove to be effective on the battlefield, Ukraine can now share the technologies under the co-production agreement with the foreign companies, and then can produce this together. The testing environment and battlefield-driven innovation, So in Ukraine, we have this saying that even a brick flies on a proving ground, and meaning that many drones seem to work and they look very nice, very modern, but when you actually try to use them on the battlefield, they are not effective at all. Then real combat-driven demand. So Ukraine needs drones. Ukraine needs UAVs and other type of drones, and much more significantly than it currently produces. And finally, battlefield tactics. So the operational doctrine. So Ukraine can share not only the drone technologies, but also the knowledge how to deploy them with the coordination with the intelligence command, with the electronic warfare. That's something that very often is underappreciated when talking about Ukrainian technologies. Usually the conversations are only around the hardware. So it's not just the hardware, it's the infrastructure that the Ukraine can share. And that's why I think the opportunity again for Taiwan-Ukraine cooperation is huge here. We just hope to see develop this. Thank you so much.
Thank all our speakers. I think we are last panel not only because we have the most gender balance, but also we are really like drones is also enabled by chips, by AI, by energy. So I think that is why our speakers are so significant promote that drone is just a hardware platform, but what the enable infrastructure and also the talent training is so important. So right now I open to 2 rounds of our Q&A and 3 to 4 questions each. So please raise your hand and I will point out you. Okay, that gentleman.
I'm Francis. I'm a corporate attorney from Taichung, Central Taiwan. And when it comes to defense industry, it is defense and it is also industry. So profitability also matters, just as the defense and national security. So I'm curious about what is the most critical compliance issue and a contractual risk that bother your company is for Thunder Tiger and Anduril. When entering Taiwan market or entering the market of United States of EU, or in other words, which compliance or contractual issue costs you most? Thank you.
Question. We'll collect 3 to 4 and answer.
Thank you. Yicheng Lai from the Prospect Foundation. I have 2 questions. First of all, to the Molly. I think when you talk about from porcupine to the hellscape, it seems that they actually represent 2 very different emphases in terms of defense strategy. Porcupine strategy basically is more focused on how to prevent the enemy from actually conquering Taiwan on land. And so that was basically all the defense concept, including overall defense concept that before the year 2022 that had been so much been discussed. But the hellscape seems more or less that push forward to the sea, so that that presents something very different. I have to say that if we really, when we're in this role, the implication is that that will be very different from the overall defense concept that earlier that we had. I do not know whether you share this observation or not, but also I found out that when you talk about the this hellscape, basically you're talking about 80 kilometers and inward. How about the rest of about the 30 to 50 kilometers? Why wouldn't we use them? Why we just cannot give them the free space for them to rest, right? So that's what the experience from Ukraine that we had. And to the author from our Ukraine friends, the issue is that you talk about 80-20 model. Then I think Taiwan right now, we're in a hurry to build out our drone and also the unmanned system defense with the cheap the equipment. But we are also in the problem about We also need to preserve the room for the recycle and innovations for the drones, basic use. But right now it's a peacetime, although we are preparing for war. But what is the more or less the right rationale, even in a peacetime, so that we can also take care of the issue that we need to keep necessary room for the future innovations there. But right now, a lot of arguments actually you need to hurry up and building all the drones in order to fill the numbers. But then if we did that, the issue is that probably sometime in the future, then all of them will be replaced in a very short period of time. And that will present a very big logistical problem for us. So I do not know whether you have a comment on this. Thank you.
I think the gentleman there, the back.
Good afternoon. My name is Zander. I'm a master's student. This is to Artur and Andrei. Ukraine's tactical and strategic success seems to rely not only on military innovation, but also more importantly on the rapid integration between civilians, SMEs, the whole of society approach that you mentioned. Beyond military and battlefield tactics, what other areas of institutional cooperation can be undertaken between Taiwan and specifically Ukraine in order to aid this whole of society defense readiness? Thank you.
Okay, so we have compliance issue, prioritization issue, and also institutional cooperation. So,
okay, thank you for the question regarding the non-compliances issue. I think currently we are facing in Taiwan, of course, the request for all the supply chain and components to be non-red or not coming from China is the top priority. And then, so that comes into two challenges. One is the cybersecurity. The cybersecurity that usually you want to have a very high restriction and high hurdle of doing that. But in the meantime, you want to be very cost effective. So I think that is currently we are doing it, and but a lot of challenges that are currently we are facing. And also in US, because we currently also are building our factories and JV over there. In US, of course, they also have the we call the non-red policies for especially on the FCC requirement for all the telecom modules. So that also need to be cost effective enough to be provided to our participants or our customers in the US. So these two are primarily our challenges, but we still finding our ways to be able to do that and to provide to our customers.
For us, I think it's really around the traditional procurement process when we're talking about contractual challenges, and this isn't just a Taiwan issue. It's global across a lot of our customers. In that the requirements generation process from an initial operational requirement document to a contract is typically a minimum of 2 years. And as we've discussed on this panel, right, the pace of innovation, the decentralized procurement that our Ukrainian friends talked about, right? Like your systems tend to be outdated by the time you realize that contract. And the way Anduril deals with that is by building modular hardware and software-based architectures into our design, so that if we design a product, it is modular enough that we can continue to update it even after it's fielded. So just like your Tesla, right, is getting better over time, a software-defined system with modular hardware components can also become better over time. And that then ties into like the second challenge around contractual realities. Traditional sustainment contracts just don't account for that kind of iteration, right? Again, to tie it to Ukraine, like they don't have those restrictions, and they can't afford those restrictions as they field and update their systems. So I think there's some promising rapid acquisition pathways that the Taiwanese military is working here with the Defense Innovation Office that I think is a strong step forward, but that's what I would flag.
I'm happy to go next. Thank you very much for your questions. And your point on the overall defense concept is well taken, and I think that this is an idea of a more forward defensive approach that doesn't necessarily negate anything put forward in the overall defense concept. Perhaps they can work in cooperation with each other. And in terms of the question of the 80 kilometers, we've gotten this a lot, and it's based on a report that Rand authored maybe 2010. It's called a 4-ring strategy. It's a starting point, and the idea is this is roughly when the fleet starts to become most vulnerable, because anything closer to the mainland, to the PRC, can be under the threat of land-based interceptors. Therefore, it's a different model of efficiency, in that you're conserving your fire until you can really deplete the interceptors that are based on the ships, therefore increasing the likelihood as the ships approach the shore that you're going to have some successful mission kills. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't roles for UUVs, and I think UUVs and USVs closer to the shore. But in terms of, I think, particularly like the aerial threat, right? If you think about the interceptors levels, and and yes, I think that's my point.
Thank you for your question. And so the point of 80-20 model was exactly that, to make sure that the systems that get to the front line have actually proven to be working and to be effective there, but at the same time leave some space for innovation and for competition as well. So that's not only about innovation, that's also about maybe purchasing similar systems but from different companies, so that the incentive always exists. But I find your second point about peacetime versus wartime much more interesting. I just had a conversation yesterday about that, and I think there's a huge paradox there that, to be honest, I don't know answer to, because there are many things that will not be effective and will never be politically but even pragmatically implemented under the peacetime. Decentralization of procurement is one of them. It is obviously that it's much more simpler to have centralized procurement in the peacetime, and it will work better in the peacetime again. So it would be a very hard political decision to change it when you don't have, when you're not in the state of war, and but it will work when you are actually fighting, because we talked to many Ukrainian militaries, and when this reform of this decentralization started happening, all of them reported the change. They said that, look, before we received this huge batch of drones, and they all had already old video transmitters that worked on the frequencies that have been jammed here on this area like a few months ago. And that's why at the beginning, each military unit in Ukraine had their separate workrooms where they would have to customize all of the drones that they would receive, replace the communication systems and some other things. And when the decentralization started happening, they're like, wow, now we can actually order, and now we get, in 1 month or so, we get the drones that work. It's like, that's the only time where we can use the drone, just unpacking it and start using, not actually changing the components here. So yeah, my point is that many things, many decisions cannot just made without this threat of war, and that's the paradox that has to be somehow solved. And then for your institutions questions, Andrii, would you mind answering that?
If I may, I could edit this 80-20 models. During the peacetime, it would be also possible to keep this model, because based on our legislation and centralized procurement system demands, in order to spend budget, defense budget or state budget, all the systems should be certified and codified. After that, the one or another defense procurement agency could use state money in order to buy. Second, I believe it is a fight in any army on our planet that for Ukrainian, for example, situation, I would not differentiate a national producer from the international producer. What I would focus on the capability which are gonna provide it to military on the ground. If the international producer are gonna provide better capabilities in short notice, be very fast for implementing contracts, despite the fact I don't need to wait until the national will very much could be during peacetime reluctant to give this capability on time to the military, because security and defense, as for our nation specifically, is a key issue. We would not have security and good defense, probably we will never have good investments. And 20% will allow to use for the exactly testing, doing modulation and certification based on not prescription what is stipulated in organization of the, let's say, creation, manufacturing, and after that testing this kind of equipment. It would give flexibility to the company to approach and during the tender or any kind of relation to provide better capabilities if military would demand it. Regarding the cooperation, I see personally right now business-to-business relation. We are flexible enough. We don't need to have any kind of state-to-state regulation. Company, if wish to engage with Ukrainian company, we are open right now, having internet everywhere to contact, and specifically Ukraine right now very much open to get, based on common solution, all the best what's supposed to be helpful on the front line. I also see from the academic perspectives, students exchange, for example. What is the problem to send Taiwanese students to Ukraine to learn Eastern European tradition, culture, I don't know, math, physics, because we still have a powerful academic record on it. And Ukrainians could come and study this very far away from Ukraine. Thirdly, I believe it, academia, why not to defend the thesis one or another on Ukraine or Taiwan, in Ukraine and Taiwan, get PhD or postdoctoral degree. Who is against? Who can send me not to come to Taiwan and make my, for example, doctoral? Because I have already PhD. If somebody will invite it, I will come and write a thesis. Thank you.
Welcome, you come to produce for a doctorate. Yeah. So now open to the second round of questions. The man.
Thank you. My name is Walter Liu. I'm a reporter on international affairs for the Storm Media. One question for Alexander and one more for our two friends from Ukraine. Question for Alexander. You just mentioned the progress of Anduril in Taiwan in the past 15 months. So could you elaborate a little bit about your Anduril's near-term plan in Taiwan, perhaps in the next 3 to 5 years? Like if you are thinking about increased investment or increasing your sourcing from the local supply chain. Perhaps a little follow-up. What, in addition to the parts that you just mentioned that you're sourcing from Taiwan, is there any other potential or more promising areas of local, Taiwan-made parts or systems that you are reviewing or you are scouting? That's for the question for Alexander. And one more question for our two friends from Ukraine. I know since the conflict in Middle East, the experience of UAV in Ukraine is highly sought after in the Gulf states. So, and in your opinion, what would you say the most important UAV lesson that we can draw from the Iran campaign for Taiwan defense? Thank you.
My name is Liang Rongling. I'm with Tsai & Tsai law firm in Taipei. Many thanks to all the speakers for sharing with us your expertise and experience. This morning, there was a panel discussed about U.S. export control on sensitive and high-tech commodities. Ukraine has been in a war for many years, and we take many lessons from Ukraine. And I understand our friends from Ukraine are not legal experts, but maybe you happen to know there is similar policy or legal framework that is built up over the years for protect national security and on the control of high-tech sensitive commodities. Maybe there is a legal framework policy built up or strengthened or changed during the years. And what is the impact on Ukrainian drone industries or on the impact on the partnership with other industries in other countries? Thank you.
Okay, there's one teenager, college student.
I am a student from Suzhou University, and I want to ask Thunder Tiger and Andrii. I'm curious why, when engaged with you guys with Taiwan government, do you encounter situation where different operation assumption lead to misapplication or misunderstanding of product intent functions? Yeah, thank you.
And I think this is your hands. Okay.
Hi, William from International Crisis Group. This question is kind of like tying back to the previous panel about energy security and also resilience, because we know that Taiwan imports more than 90% of the energy from outside. How would any of you, or maybe for the defense firms reps, is that how do you think the energy resilience or vulnerability in that aspect might have an impact on Taiwan's ambition or plan to scale up its defense industry locally here? Thank you.
Okay, second round. So 2 questions for business plan, like 法说会, and others for lessons from Iran, from the Ukraine perspective, and 1 teenagers about the operational concept. So you can answer each.
Okay, thank you for the question. Operational-wise, it's a very good question. At least the MND or our operator or our Army or Navy always wants the best weapons in the world, but the cheapest price. So that's our challenges. But in terms of operational, we usually focus on our strengths instead of our weakness. So our strengths currently is the low cost and high volume FPVs, 10-inch, 7-inch, and 15-inch, and then we would also equip it with the made in Taiwan fiber optic spools so that can be anti-jamming. And this is something that our DIU or DIO in MND is asking for. And then, of course, many experts in the forum mentioned about the middle range and long range one weight or surveillance cost-effective drone like Delta Wing or Lucas. I think that is something that we've been talking intensively to some of the consultants in Marine Corps, and they will be currently very interested in that. And thirdly, of course, due to the many experts mentioned about the hellscape scenario and to surround Taiwan Island as the to protect our coastline. So the sea drones currently are being asked by many experts in Navy and Marine Corps and ANSYS. So we've been working closely with them to see if we can meet up their demands. So that is currently some of the priorities we've been focusing our strengths instead of our weakness. And finally, of course, many people from the Marine Corps and from the armies, they are also asking how do we do the training for them and how do we do the operational things for them. And they will be very interesting on the capability to learn quickly and to do the swarming and with help of AI. So these are all the operational challenges and requests from our customers. And I believe that is a very good challenges to us. And with the help of all our supply chain and all AI companies in worldwide, we are getting very close and getting there, and we also need help from international community, especially from US and Europe and also Israel as well. Thank you.
On the question of resourcing investment here over the next 3 to 5 years, I think the answer is absolutely. You'll see Anduril aggressively invest here in Taiwan. I think we see it as the most important security theater in the world, so we have to be here. We also see an administration that's serious about reallocation of resources towards attritable autonomous systems. I mean, how many decades have we talked about all these various concepts about the need for lower cost, more affordable, more uncrewed force structure? They're actually making the moves to try to realize that. So for us, it's a really strong signal of demand, as well as a signal of importance that will kind of incentivize us to continue to hire here. I think you'll see more local hiring that's not business development people. It'll be people like manufacturing engineers, sourcing, software engineers, program managers, those kinds of folks over the next couple of years. The question on operational concepts, I do think we've been seeing a more cohesive joint operational plan from our services. I think the common thread throughout the different service branches is that they are increasingly realizing that the expenditure of munitions and the attrition of drones will be incredibly aggressive over the opening phases of a conflict. And so for us as an industry partner, we're focused on highly producible designs. So designing systems from the start that are modular enough to be customized for Taiwan's specific operational requirements, which are not necessarily the same as the United States or Indo-PACOM's operational requirements, and using commercial supply chain, commercial production tooling. So we're building these to be highly producible and less like these exquisite artisan systems that take years and years to replenish.
I will start to, thank you for the question. We'll start to respond regarding the possible lessons learned of Ukraine toward the Taiwan of UAV production. For Ukraine, it's helped to be recognizable. It's helped to raise the importance of our defense industrial base, to be right now UAV technological hub of on the earth. It's for Ukraine. For Taiwan, because you do have some very well sophisticated development of the components to UAV, for you it would be easier to apply and ramp up or scale it up, this kind of production. For Ukraine, it's also helped to build a partnership and friendship with numbers of countries, what it was a case before for different political, maybe technological limitation. It dropped to Ukraine some key niche of technology, and this kind of technology could be multiply of our economical development. It is as lessons learned from Ukrainian side. Regarding the question, technology transfer or export control, our government right now very serious are focusing on it because we've been requested to pass or sell it and help our partners in Middle East. We do have system before export control. It wasn't probably the efficient and sufficient enough. It's going to be developed with new developments right now, but National Security Defense Council regular basis collecting the expert on it. They are formulated the Defense Technical Commission, which are taking decision on each transfer of technology and ready product to one or another nation. If nation has some limitation based on our or partners' strategy, officially it will never come. Probably smuggling or other kind of monkey business could assist to get this kind of technology, but it would be seriously prosecuted by our criminal law. Misconduct during the operation, would be a serious question, and I believe it will bring to some international attention as well, to the NATO, to EU. Appropriate regulation would be developed. Is it we are talking about the artificial intelligence, or when we have been talking about the UAV? Because some country has a huge limitation, even from Ukrainian experience. We are not able to train efficiently our troops, for example, in one or another European country, because they do have a limitation use UAV. But right now, training without UAV as soldiers, it is same like without bullets in previous time, because it is a main threat to the human beings, and they have to be trained how to avoid it, how to defend it, how to protect it, and as well as how to use it. But in European country soil, we are not able to do it. It's mean regulation would be, for sure. And last one, it is energy protection. I believe a Ukrainian example, despite the fact of this mass bombardment and other kind of stuff, our defense industrial bases find our own solution. They bought a number of different type of generators, and you will come, you will see not lights, but production is going on. And with assistance and without assistance by using our national budget. I believe that each enterprise for defense industrial base should have it like general staff, like Ministry of Defense, a supplementary or backup electrical grid in order to support all that function. And it is nothing different from defense industrial base. Thank you.
I would also love to add my perspective on the lesson from the Ukraine's cooperation with the Gulf question. Great question, by the way. So I'll start with two simple observations. First, when all this was happening and when President Zelensky came to the Gulf countries, they signed 10-year agreements with a few of them. And again, that was 10-year cooperation agreements. It wasn't 10-year drone contract. It wasn't just selling the drones. It was cooperation agreement. And observation number two, when these events were reviewed in the media, it was usually the main fact that appeared was mostly that Ukraine, it wasn't that Ukraine sold, I don't know, 10,000 interceptor drones or something like that. It was mostly about Ukraine sent a few hundred military experts to the Gulf to teach them how to use the technology. So I think the biggest lesson here is that, as I mentioned before, Ukraine's lessons and Ukraine's experience are much more than just the hardware. It's the infrastructure, it's the experience, and that's what has to be shared and incorporated in what area instead of just simple trade of the hardware. Yeah, thank you.
If I could quickly kind of tie the two threads together, I think that the Iran war and the depletion of the U.S. stockpiles, the U.S. Department of Defense has been transparent that is going to push back foreign military sales to other countries, right? Things are going to take longer, and I do think that applies to more smaller, agile companies. The United States is going to say, we come first. They've been very explicit about it, and that presents existential risks for Taiwan if the United States decides to move in that direction. And in my mind, not to pour cold water on the conversation, right? That is a further indication that Taiwan needs to continue to invest in its own industry as well. Not saying to completely disregard the United States, but to not 100% rely on the United States as the only supplier, as the only main manufacturer.
Thank you, all speakers. I think I have two takeaways. One is that I think not multiple volumes is important, but multi-domain is also important. And also that cooperation, we talk about UAV, USV, UUV, but how about UUT? US, Ukraine, and Taiwan. Yeah, I think that would be really important for doing that international cooperation. And I think all cooperation start from interest intention and initiative to institutionalization. So I hope that next year I come here, our relationship have been institutionalization. Thank you very much. Thank you for our speakers.
Thank you all for your valuable questions. We'll now close the final session of today. We kindly invite all the speakers to remain on the stage for a little bit while to have a good photo together. Only the speakers.